This is Marion Varner from the League of Women Voters in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. I'm pretty new to the Milo support group, but I did have a couple questions today. They're probably quick.
Okay.
The first one is, our league hasn't taken PayPal accounts or any credit card accounts online yet, but we're planning to do that.
Okay.
It looks like the easiest thing for me is to request a copy of another league page from doing that, and then I can edit that. Does that seem like a reasonable way to do this?
Yeah. You always have the option to be able to clone a form from another site. So if you wanted to save yourself the trouble of creating the form yourself, I'm not sure which league might have one. But if you're looking to collect either the donors or the members' information, then that would be the first step to have a Milo web form.
Okay.
With the Milo web form, that allows you to take, check payment as well, because you can set up the web form to email a copy of the information to back to the donor or to the member, and they can use that as their donation form or membership form. Just going to show you a possible clone. This is a clone that I got, I think, from another league. Oh yeah, Sussex County, Delaware. And so this would be the same idea, how I was able to clone the Sussex County's membership form to this demo site. We would do that same thing for you. So the text, everything of the form is going to be like the original. So we'll always try to give you pointers on what you will need to update, but definitely the text, most of the fields you might be able to keep the same because they're pretty general. But aside from creating a new draft and editing the text there's also the web form tab where there might be some emails set up. And so there were some original emails set up. And so that you either want to edit those or delete them and start over. And then one last place is the form settings, because this contains the confirmation message. If it's left blank, then that's fine. It's generic, but you might have some text that would be needing to be edited there. But definitely, when we clone a form for you, we try to remind you of those points, and we're always there if you needed us to help you out with making those changes or confirm that you've gotten those points all squared away.
And my second question is, one of the leaders in my local league is in charge of the redistricting effort in Tennessee. So she's thinking that we'll have a page on our website, and then other leagues will link directly maybe to the same page.
Okay.
Do you see any difficulties with that? Some of the leagues use Milo and some don't in Tennessee.
Oh yeah, there's no difficulty in that. The only thing you'll need to do is give them the address that's here up at the top. This is the URL of the page. Another way of getting them that address is if you right click here on the new draft. This is a way of getting the node. So I'm copying that so I can just paste it here. The node is going to come out with every page, every content item throughout your site. So every event, every slideshow item, whatever it may be, is going to have some specific number attached to it. So if the URL of a page is extremely long, you might prefer giving them this, and it's the same thing. So if I copy this, and it's going to bring me back to the clone of the renew your membership page. So I'm going to hop over to the home page and go to the node. So that's another option when you need to provide the URL of something on your site.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. And if you didn't already have any forms in mind already too, you can, we might have some recommended forms in our documentation, or you can send us an email. I think I have a past email where I could forward to you.
Okay.
Amaris,
Yeah.
this
There
is
it is.
Mary Jo. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I?
No, hey.
Okay. So my board wanted me to ask, we're starting to give the Google report, forget what you call it. But
the
anyway,
analytics.
yeah, thank you. So some of the board members said, oh, we can tell how many people visited. Well, can we get their IPs? And then somebody said, well, or their email addresses. And then somebody said, well, that you have to have cookies and all that. So my job is to say, can we use cookies? The idea being that you get back to these people. I think it's kind of crazy, but I said I would ask.
I think it's because Google Analytics doesn't work that way. I'm not sure of the specifics, but I'm pretty sure that it is up to Google Analytics and how they're tracking people's traffic, or the browser itself that people are using.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with Milo.
Yeah,
Okay.
what you could do if you wanted to have like a pop-up or something that would ask them for their email, you could maybe put a question right up on the homepage. Or another idea is using a third-party service. There's one link I saw today. Beloit, Wisconsin is using, there's this little helpline in the corner, and this is coming from Fresh Desk or Freshworks. And so I'm assuming that they have embedded this like with a HTML code, very similar to Mary Jo, what your archive list used. You would have some kind of code like that, and it should generate, whatever the desired effect is. And I think, yeah, contact the voter helpline. So there is kind of a form function where you can ask,
Well,
provide your email.
It's not as obvious on our page, but I mean, we have the contact us, over in the menu on the left.
Yeah, and depending on the third-party service that you use, it might be more like upfront. I think, let's see, Los Angeles might be another service. Yeah, more obvious. They might have turned that off. Oh no, there it is. So this looks like it's a constant.
Oh, where did you get that? How did you click that? Where did that show up from?
The Los Angeles Milo League is using constant contact.
X that out and then show me. Oh, we have that too.
You have constant contact, so it might just be a matter of finding out how you can get that pop-up. So all I did was click on their site. So when you get to their homepage, after the homepage loads, then the constant contact pop-up appears.
Well, where is it? I don't see it.
Once it loads, it's going to pop up.
Oh, it's still loading. Well, I mean, like I said, we've got the same thing that says, do you want to get our updates? That's for the newsletter.
And that is in the corner of your site. And it actually, this pop-up might have only popped up because I visited it the first time.
So I see it's a little different. Okay.
I probably would have been better off looking for it. There we go. Okay. And which portion were you thinking of?
I don't know. I mean, you're just, the idea was, oh, somebody came to our, our website. Oh, let's contact them.
Okay. And if you wanted to make a slideshow item that would lead to either the contact us page or something, that might be an idea.
More in your face. Okay. Okay, that's a good suggestion. Thanks, Amaris.
Yeah, for sure.
So Amaris, when you showed about the nodes before,
Mhm.
That's really cool because that's a very short little link. Is there any downside to using that? And is that accessible from anywhere? I mean, could we put that into an email or, you know, a document or anything like that?
Yeah, it definitely is accessible from anywhere, as long as you have the HTTPS, if it's required to have that, portion before. And then it is probably the preferred one. I'm going to jump back to the demo site. Because of the fact that page titles control the URL up at the top, it's most reliable to use the node. So just to mimic what happens when we change the page titles every now and then to items. Right now I have this titled as fake article, and we see that in the URL as well.
So are you saying the node will stay constant even if the name of the page changes?
That's right. So it gives you some security that if you are going to, you can comfortably change the page title and not have to worry about providing another URL. So if this page was linked to somewhere, I then have to, make changes to my own site or wherever I've shared that URL to.
Yeah, the node is less likely to break. That link is less likely to break than if it's got all those other pieces that can change.
That's right. And I will say too, though, there is some security with this URL, the longer path. Our system does create automatic redirects. We as webmasters aren't able to see them, but they're made right as soon as you save a change to a title change. As soon as you save that, it's now saving /fake-article will always redirect to /league-article.
How did you get to the node where it showed the node instead of the name?
It is the new draft. So you can either click on a new draft, or what I did earlier was I just right-clicked the new draft button.
Amaris?
Yes.
If we use the node and send that around, say, in an email, how does Google Analytics count that? Will it count it as, when you go to count up for your most popular websites, is it going to count it as the same thing as the one with the title?
Because of the redirect, it will still be counted like where they're landing to, and being that the longer path is where they're landing to, that will still be or that will be the one tracked. Good question. But yeah, so you're definitely probably just as safe using this because of those redirects that are automatically made. But I would say if it might just cut down on confusion. If somebody sees that the URL has changed, either way, you have both options there.
You can get there either way.
Yeah. Did anybody have any other questions?
Well, this is Mary Jo again, and I just noticed that there were some comments in the Gmail support area about the calendar and stuff. So it sounds like your team is working on that, and you'll let us know.
We've I put in a quote to the team to have them investigate what kinds of things would be required to implement.
Okay.
So they're still kind of looking at what that would be.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
seems, are you talking about the order on the homepage too?
Mary Jo, is that what you were referring to, the order?
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I guess it would be probably on the homepage. Yes. Yeah, being able to have the newest first, or however you want to do it, the chronological order.
Well, with the chronological order of the calendar, it's going to be different than the chronological order of the homepage.
Oh,
ruling thing here on the homepage, on this front page list, is the creation date. So that's going to give you the ultimate order, but then the calendar, that is being ruled by the event date.
Oh,
It seems like changing what you sort on, I mean, the order it's like a SQL command. Couldn't you, at least for now, allow us to change the order by date, right? Like the calendar, because it's just such a pain. And if you keep trying to use a date before, you're going to go to August. I mean,
Right. Yeah. No, definitely. We definitely understand that. The only downside with the event date, that's not available for every content type. So that's the reason why we can't just readily use that as the new item or the new filter. But we are trying to look at options for having a better reordering system here on the front page.
but I don't I mean, it seems to me you have multiple queries, one for the, for the different types of events. So when you get to the one that's the calendar one, which is an obvious one you want by date, it's just so, it seems, I mean, I don't know how it's implemented, but usually you do multiple queries, right? And one at a time, so you display it in the different categories of that you could have on the front page. I just wonder if there's a quick solution to this that would at least make the chronological ordering of the calendar events possible, rather than worrying about whether we drag it or not. I mean, that's lovely functionality, but I don't want to wait around for that kind of functionality. I just don't want to have to keep changing the creation date so that it looks right. It just seems like a bad choice, considering that you normally want things in the chronological order.
Right. Yeah. We definitely know that it's not not been the easiest way. I will give you a bit of what should be rolling out soon, that it should be a grabby handles type of thing. So what we see, like with the menu, we should have something that's easy to be used or easy to use like that, to reorder the items on the front page. But definitely we'll be letting you know once that, as soon as that is ready to be made public and put on the site live.
I don't know if any of the others find this so annoying as I do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I do, because if you've got a lot of, if you have a lot of events, then it's you have to keep going back and forth to see how they're displaying on your home page and editing the creation date. And if you don't get it right, then you've got one out of order, and it just takes time. It would be, the grabby handle system seems really good.
Yeah, I'm hoping that that's going to be something that we can quickly implement and get it up there as soon as we can. Yeah, it definitely won't be. It won't be
Amaris,
that method. Yeah.
Amaris, my internet went out right as you were explaining how to find the node. Can you show me again how to do that really quickly?
Yeah. So anywhere that you have either the edit draft button, I didn't show that one earlier. This, you can either open it up and it's just opening up your new draft, or you would right click the button to copy that link address, and that's going to give you the node / that number. The same thing goes for any page that has the new draft button. Either click on it or right click to copy. And each page, even your home page, is going to be a unique number.
Okay, so copy link address.
Yeah, you will notice too, because we mentioned nodes are everywhere throughout your site. There are, I think it's 5 specific places that they are not. The action alerts, the articles, the calendar, positions, and members only. Essentially the 5 places where you have lists of content, they don't have a node because they are known as a view. You get to just view content from here. So these contain other nodes, but they aren't a node themselves.
Can you repeat what 5 there are?
Action alerts, articles, the calendar, positions, and members only. And so,
So the aggregate areas.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so with these, you'll only be able to reach them by the URL. Okay. Does anybody have another question? We can jump into some web forms. Working on web form emails if y'all are ready. Okay. So the web form emails, we now have the custom email from functionality working. So I wanted to show that off while also just demoing how to make your emails work for your form. I already have this web form built up. Like I said, I copied it from the Sussex County website. And I probably should have removed these personal email addresses before, but that should be fine. Okay, so as we've gone over before with the web forms, to be able to set up a new recipient, you have a couple of options between just explicitly specifying one address or a group of addresses. You can separate them by adding a comma. Or the other option is to choose a component. I'm going to zoom in a bit. The other option is to use, there would need to be an email form component here. So I'm going to open this in a new tab, jumping over to the form components tab over here. Where it says type, we have an explicit email type. So you would have to ask them for their email because this is the only field that is going to recognize that there's an @ symbol and then the ending domain. And so if it's not entered incorrectly, it will reject it. And that ensures that an email will actually be sent or that a valid email address has been entered. But because we don't have that email form component, I'll leave that as custom. And then the email subject, that custom was always working, so you can change that to whatever you want that to be. And now here, the email from address is where we now have something a little bit different. Let's use our old blue address. What is going to change is that the recipient, although they're still going to receive the mail from our default address, as soon as the recipient clicks reply, we're going to be able to reply to that specified or that custom address. So because it happens that way, I would advise adding a note either at the top or wherever in your email template, and even on the confirmation page, adding a note about if you like to respond, reply to this email. you will, if you wanted to let them know what the new recipient address will be, that might be nice. Or simply just having, if you'd like to respond, reply to this email, I think would be enough information. Whoops.
So does that mean that even though the email may be sent from a different address, a reply will go to that address, or will that address show up as the source on the email they receive?
The first, so it would be that our support at lwvc.org will, no matter if you've used a custom, it will still show up as the sender of the original message. But once that person hits reply, it will be going to lou@lwvc.org. So I'm going to test out the form. I obviously have two going to the same email, but we have a different subject, and the first one is using the default, and then we're using custom there. So let's try this out. So I'm just going to fill out what's necessary. Okay. All right. Let's go back, and I can sign into my Gmail to check that out. Okay. And then always a good reminder to recommend saving support at lwvc.org into your email context if you don't have it already. And that's always a good idea to put that on your web forms if you're expecting the people who are submitting to receive a copy. But this is the one that is customized. So it is coming from support at lwvc.org. But as soon as I hit reply, that's when the email address changes. We are looking, I'm looking into if we can have the sender showing as a different address. But as it is right now, the functionality will be there. It's just that sender will still show up as our default address. But whatever you customize it to will be that new recipient.
So Amaris, dumb question. So I don't know if we've personalized this or not. I have no idea. But if we did not do that, then the person's going to be responding back to California?
They would be responding back to support at lwvc.org, but we don't, that's not an actual inbox. So
Right.
their message wouldn't be received.
So it goes nowhere unless I've changed it.
Right.
Okay, so I have to figure out how to check. Maybe you
Yeah,
fixed it when you were working with us. I have no idea.
I'm not sure, but we can double check that. That will only matter if you're having the email sent to like your members. If it's your board, then you probably wouldn't have any trouble because they would communicate with you.
I'm not quite understanding it.
Because if somebody like from your board had responded to that email and didn't get a response, I would imagine that they would just reach out personally.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, but yeah, if it's going out to members, then that might be.
Or the public.
Right.
Wouldn't that be mostly for the public? I mean, this would be somebody joining for the first time.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, that is that's definitely, I think, the first group. So let's check.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna check out your contact us page. That's probably the #1 place in case they're receiving a message themselves. So the only email is going to your info at,
Okay, we must have changed it then at some point.
but this is the email, or this is the inbox that is receiving the message.
Right.
And
Okay.
so
Oh,
it's
okay.
probably not too pressing to have it changed from support at LWVC,
Well, as long as
because
it
this
comes
is
to us, I don't
reaching,
care.
okay. That's reaching your league.
Yeah, okay.
And then I'm
And
just
we had
gonna
to do
see. if
something,
you-
we had to do something to make it do that originally?
That's just the default. We did create that email setting so that it was gonna be going to info at, but the email from address by default is the
Okay.
support at LWVC, sorry. Okay. And then this is the join form. Okay. We did change that up. So if somebody did respond to the join form, they would reach your league.
Great, thank you.
Definitely. And I will post up a little wrap up. Oh, we might have to, I'm going to put this one to the side, Mary Jo. We can update this donation form
I don't know what that.
later. I'm not sure what the
What is
number
that?
4
Yeah,
there was about,
I
but
have no idea.
Okay. But like I was saying, yeah, I'll post a little wrap up about this new function out or updated now working function. So I'm going to jump back to that form in case there were any questions, or we could go on to like confirmation message. The default template, you know, you can just leave it as is. I feel like that is not completely necessary, but whatever customizations you make to the template are just going to be taken in plain text. So like we saw in my Gmail, that was just a regular paragraph sentence. So you can use headings or different formatting like bold and italics if you wanted to make things or make some changes. I'm just going to throw some on here. These are headings that we have in our Milo site too that we get to regularly use, but these are the HTML tags, what they look like. With bold, it is just adding strong, and then italics are EM. Again, these you definitely don't have to customize your email template, but if you wanted to add a title to the email, using one of these headings would be a good idea. And whenever you finish the line, you have to close it up with a like with a trailing HTML tag. So the same would go for down here. We'd have the /strong there, whatever text you have in between. And then did anybody, is anybody using, probably some of you, PayPal or a payment processor along with
Yes.
their form?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And does anybody have, what are the orders that you have it? Is it payment processor, then form, or is it the web form and then the payment processor?
Web form and then the payment processing.
Same here.
Us too.
In
Okay.
here.
Okay. Yeah, that is,
Separate page, though. I have them go to the payment.
oh, awesome.
Me
So
too.
in that case, rather than using this as the confirmation page, whoops, because that's by default what this area is going to be. But yeah, like the cloned form I have, but then also what Maddie was saying, they're using a custom URL, and this, because it's a Milo page, was built on the site. But because this is just a URL field, you can enter a PayPal page URL or whatever it may be. That way, if you have the option in the confirmation message area, you can embed the payment button, as probably many of you have. But then you also have a way to put in the paypal.com URL, whatever that may be, or whatever payment processor you have. But by default on the confirmation page, if you leave it blank, it's just going to let the user know that their submission has been received or accepted, and give them a link. Always give them a link to go back to the form there. Did anybody have any questions or want to see anything specifically with the confirmation page?
I'm wondering if anyone uses PayPal, gets anything from PayPal that says that they actually paid. We always have to go check manually.
We get a message.
Yeah, Dearborn does too. I'm not sure how that's set up, but
I think it's in the PayPal.
I don't think it's a Milo thing.
It
No, it's
would be
in-
in the PayPal. It might just take a little investigating if Liz or Mary Jo, if you don't know what it might be under as far as like a notification setting in PayPal.
Well, I did it once, but I mean multiple times, but you know, you don't always remember how you implement things. You're just glad it works.
Trying until it's right, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, if you need any help poking around, Jan, I can see
Okay, thanks.
what I can
That's
find.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed to me when I was working with this that the confirmation message had some limitations on it that were different from other pages. Is that true? I mean, speaking of not remembering exactly, but I just remember having to play around with it before I got it to do what I wanted.
Yeah, there definitely are some limitations. Well, number one, because it is just one text editor, it's just one WYSIWYG box, and you don't have any other elements to play around with. If you redirect it to a different page, then that allows you additional elements like the main image, or if you wanted to add additional web form components, it definitely does give you more to use. I'm going to reload the form settings just because I want to visit the Sussex County's confirmation page that they were using. So they did the same idea. This same setup that they have would have been able to be done on the confirmation page, but if you had additional pictures you wanted to use, or I'm not sure how you had yours set up, but yeah, the actual page, or using a content item like a page, would allow you to use more than just one text box by itself. And what I can do too is masquerade as you. Unless, there we go. And I'm just traveling over well, let's see. Is it the contribution form? Yeah. Okay. Is this one of them that you have a different confirmation page for? the donate by mail.
Oh, you're looking at ours. Sorry, I was
Yeah.
looking at it over on the other side. Yeah, yeah, it was set up kind of convoluted, and so what I did was I improved the flow.
Yeah.
And so it's still we weren't able to put the payment on the same page as the form. And so we have the option of them paying online, but that's on the previous form.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, if you click on donate, that's where it has the actual
This
payment.
is the like landing page when you click on
Right.
donate. Okay.
Exactly. And then you also come back to this landing page after you fill out your form. You know, when you get your confirmation, you come back to this page so that you can pay.
I see. Awesome. After filling out the form on Milo.
Yes.
Okay.
There's probably a better way to do it, but I was just working with what was already there.
Definitely. I think that working with what you have and not having to rebuild, that works. And yeah, it will get the person to where they need to go. It popped into my head if it is a little bit unrelated because this is for the default confirmation page. If you did want to see what it's going to look like for the public, you would just add /done to the end of your URL.
Oh, that's good to know because I'm always dealing with that.
Yeah, especially because when you're looking at it from the webmaster's side, you're only seeing the WYSIWYG version, and it is a little bit it's not as wide as it's going to be on the page. So yeah, adding /done will get you to that public
The
site.
other thing is that what I usually do is I have to save it and sign out and then wait and then go look.
And fill out the form each time to test it to be able to go through it. Yeah, to save yourself all that hassle, you can quickly check it that way.
/done. Okay, that's good to know.
Could you do that again? I'm trying to see where you added the /done.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm up here in the address bar of the browser, and add its /done.
So you don't have to fill in the form.
That's right.
And that takes you to the confirmation page?
Yeah, to be able to see the public side of it. I'm going to try it with my other, the other page that I was working on. Oh, well, it's not going to work because it's set to members only. Yeah, so as long as you're looking at the web form before it's filled out, then you can simply add /done to the address at the top. If you were on any other page of the web form, then you'd have to make changes to the URL and remove some portions of it.
What does that do as if you have it when people fill out forms, it sends an email to us?
If you're going just to /done, it won't send an email and it won't act as a submission. Yeah, it won't track anything there. Let's see, and we could just go over some pointers on additional pointers on web forms. Let me masquerade.
You know, I should have said in the first part that Barb Scott and I made a valiant effort, Barb mainly, to try to get our state league to put their action items on a Milo, on the small Milo site that like you do for California. but we couldn't get buy-in.
No.
I don't, it was, and Barb did a beautiful example and we used it. So I guess if we're going to have a lot of action items, I don't know, Barb is willing to be the one who, it's not as, it would be much better for it to be the state, but if she's willing to put them on her site and we suck them in from all the other sites in the state that use Milo, it does save all the other members from having to do it.
Well, that was my point. My point is I'm going to try to do it. So if I'm going to try to do it, and I'm not going to be 100% successful maybe, or I might be late or whatever, but I'm going to try to do it. So if I'm going to be trying to do it, I didn't see any point in everybody else in the state, struggling to try to do it too.
But they didn't seem to.
Yeah, they
must
didn't
have
seem to
other
care that we were
reasons.
struggling.
They were very complimentary that we were making this
Yeah.
effort, but they didn't give us a reason. I mean, if they said it's money, maybe I'd understand, but they didn't seem to have much of an open mind to it as far as I could tell.
They were happy that we were finding ways to get around it. They were encouraging us to,
Continue with the work
expand our
around.
boxes or whatever.
Good work.
Yeah, right.
Well, they're happy to just have it be a link you have on your page, on your website to their page. And if somebody clicks on it, maybe there's something there, maybe there isn't, but ours is, I mean, with Milo, you have these date ranges, so things come in and out. As with the date ranges, there are a lot of, anyway, I wanted you to know, Amaris, that Barb really did though.
Yeah.
The principle works. The principle works. It's just a stupid way to do it. I mean, it's
Barb, if they would make you administrator on the Milo state site, then that would solve the problem, but they'd probably have to buy into that too.
well, Amaris, that would cost too, right? For us to build on that was one of our questions back to the state. What is the issue? They have to have a skeleton site, but in order to have even someone like me go in and update it, they need to pay the dues to get the site full, correct?
Right. Yeah. Even with just using a portion of the site, you have access to the full site. So we could start it off with just the home page, but that doesn't prevent it from being able to be built up. So it would have to be the full subscription.
I wish they just had told us so.
Yeah, they didn't say it was because they didn't have the money to pay for a full subscription. They just said we had a meeting and we're not going to do it.
I thought maybe you were part of that meeting. I don't know quite what that committee is that you're on that you go to, Barb.
Oh, well, they haven't had another meeting since December.
So that's a different meeting from the communications group.
No, yeah, it must have been the board. Must have been the state board.
I thought my connection to the president might help, but it didn't do any good. You're supposed to have sisterhood. Oh.
Well, I'm glad that they were happy about the workaround, but at the same time, yeah, all shucks that it didn't go through. While we're still poking around this web form, if y'all have not already poked around the form settings already, this is where we just worked with the confirmation message and we're talking about redirection location. But you have obviously a couple more things that are like the global settings to this web form. So you can, by default, make this just a league member form, or by default, it is always available to anybody who's logged in and anybody from the public. But you can make this a members only thing, so that what this does here is you'd still be able to see the top of the web form. So let me open this back up. The top of the web form is essentially what you would control in draft. So everything from the title to the first form component, the public would still be able to see. But down here where the first component should be, a public member would see that this is closed to the general public. You must be logged in. So that's one of two ways of making your content, but specifically a form private, because you can always make it private through the draft. And then this is what a pet peeve of mine. Every time that I add a new web form, I will always go in and turn it off. And actually, it is up here. By default, show progress bar is always enabled. I see you smiling, Maddie. You probably do the same thing.
Yeah, I got rid of it.
So that is, let me just save that to show what that looks like. That is the progress bar here at the top. The confirm your settings. Sorry, that took me out for a second. I think that is a page break that I added, or it could be the preview page that I added. But let's go back to the form settings. We can keep going about the preview page because that's right under the progress bar. So the progress bar, if you're making use of the preview page, would be best kept there. So yeah, the preview page title was confirm your settings. So after somebody has made their selections and they click submit, they're going to see what they've selected before they move on, before they're able to actually completely submit that. So let's see. Then finally, the last part, advanced settings, allows you to give them a chance to save it as a draft. If it's like a longer form, you can also change what the label of the submit button is. Especially when you are using a preview page or a page break or a save draft, those the button, it being submit, might make more sense as next or continue.
But when you say that they can save a draft, is this just for one session that they're in? Because if it's just a member of the public, they don't have any kind of identity that maybe there is some identity, but if they left the page and then came back, there's no way to go back to your draft, right?
Right. Yeah. This the show save draft button is only for those that are logged in. I haven't used it myself, so I can test it out. So I think I made a change to the submit button and the show save as draft button. So let's check that out. Well, I'm going to go ahead and fill this out somewhat. Okay. So now we have a save draft. Before I go to that, I want to see what my preview page looks like. Whoops. Sorry about that. I have to change the confirmation that I cloned over. So that redirect that was there before. Let's just use the confirmation page. Okay, let's try that again. Okay. Oh no. Let's make sure that I have that enabled. So the preview page, it should have shown me that before I continued. Enable preview page. And let's double check that we do have all of the values that are on the form should be showing up. Okay, so we should have a default message showing up on the preview page. Okay, let's try that again. The preview page, I've recommended it before, like when you want to have people print a copy of the form. This is kind of the easiest spot from the preview page. So I will definitely be making a ticket to our tech team to figure out why that is not stopping at the preview page before being submitted. It should be a midway point before the submission is accepted.
You know, it seemed to me that some things, when I did the view publish, they worked differently than after I actually saved it as published. Could it have anything to do with that?
Do you mean like when you have the published version and a draft version?
Yeah, when I have a draft and I'm viewing and I do view published, then it doesn't behave the same way as after I've actually published it.
As far as a web form, that shouldn't be the case. Like just this down here, like these changes that you make to your web form do get pushed through immediately. But if you do see that, please do let us know. Like if you do have a draft here, switching between view draft and view published shouldn't give us a different like experience, only if we added new text.
Okay.
Or something
that
new.
Might be when it happened. I just
see what
remember that I kind of stopped using view published because I found it undependable, but I don't remember exactly what the situation was.
I see.
Just publish it and then republish it if I don't like it.
I see. Well, I'm going to try out to see if I get, a different result in the draft mode. It's still bypassing that preview page. But let's go ahead and test out the save draft to see what that looks like. I am logged in, and this is the success bar that we get. You may return to this form later, and it will restore the current values. So as long as I'm logged in, this is going to show me this information. Let's see if I can. I'm going to copy this URL to my clipboard. And actually, let's see if I'm logged out over here. Log out. And when I visit that page, I had that feeling. It is, sorry, it is set to private. So I definitely would not be able to access that. Let me quickly change that so we can show that off. Okay. Whoops. Okay. Coming back. All right. That was the other thing that we had set, that this was going to be just available for the league member. So as a general public user, I can't even see the questions on the form, but I can see the rest of the text around. But as soon as I log in, it should hopefully give me my form values back. I think I was masquerading as demo user. There we go. So as soon as you log in, or as soon as you get back to the form while you're logged in, you'll get that notice. A partially completed form was found. Please complete the remaining portions. And you do have that information saved and can go straight to submit if you answered all of the required stuff. But definitely we'll be checking out what's going on with that preview page function. And then let's jump over to the results. We have gone over this already, but it's always nice to remember these. The results are always found in a list. You can look at them all together online at once by viewing table. But obviously, if it's hard to see like this one is, you can just download it. Or in my case, zooming out would help too. But every time you download it, the list will remain. So it might be a good idea if you download, then to clear and you start fresh. And then analysis, I think, just tells you how, like a tally of what answers have been given. So depending on what your form is, might be helpful, but like donation forms and membership forms, you're probably not using this. Yeah, the add analysis components allows you to pick and choose which questions you want to have in the analysis, and I guess to be compared to each other. And let's see, I think that was all the things on the form settings page that I find useful or that I've seen other webmasters make use of. Set that back to the default. But yeah, does anybody have any questions about these form settings? I'm going to stare at the preview page settings for just another second. Lynette, if you wanted to use the chat too, we can get your questions going. I see that you're having some audio trouble. Sorry. Okay, let's see, maybe if I turn off, where is setting? The save draft, if used with the preview page, might not work together. I'm making assumptions, but let's see if that is the case. Okay, so now I don't have the save draft anymore. Okay, so it's not the case. All right, so I'm gonna check out. Lynette asks, where are webmasters using forms besides donate and join? That's a good question. Anybody here using a form for anything else on their site? And I can travel to it too, so we can show it off.
I think, well, I don't know. I don't think we're using it now, but we were selling masks that said vote. So,
oh, awesome.
But we aren't doing that now. So the page probably is somewhere, but it's not linked.
Okay, that's a good idea to be used as a
We have
a sales tool.
A form for general public just to ask questions if they have any questions of us.
Is that one linked in your menu, Jan?
I think it's in the sidebar. Nope, not in the sidebar. So go.
Or maybe down in the page.
About? Yeah, contact us.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, awesome. And I would imagine you have the email going to your board.
It goes to our secretary, who will forward it on to where it belongs.
Okay, awesome. This has, I'm going to play around with this. I'm going to clone this to the demo site because this is a really great contact us form. Very nice and straight to the point. If you had a large team where Jan's, Jan's League is doing, where there is one person receiving everything and then triaging it out, if you aren't able to do that, then you do have an option. And sorry, I'm just going to quickly clone this. The other option would be to have the messages going specifically to who they're intended to reach. In order to do that, you'd have to have, just like how the subject is asked for here, it'd be a select options where you'd ask, who are you trying to reach? So let's quickly show that off, because then this gives you a chance to enter specific email addresses depending on which person has been chosen. So who would you like to reach? And we want them to select one or more of these options. And we need it to be required because we need to know who's going to be notified. Choose recipient on board. And the options, there's always going to be two parts to each option. The part on the left is the safe key, which is going to be a machine readable type of text. So the only thing you can use is letters, numbers, or underscores. So either don't have any spaces or use underscores for them. The part on the right is what the public will see. So sometimes it could be the very same thing, but just know that what's on the left is not for the public's eyes. It is just for us to use if we need to make changes to the email. These safe keys can be attached to the end of this form key so that you could be specifying a specific value without having to say this should be present all the time. You could specify that whatever the person has answered for that would be the value there.
So it's just a vertical bar between them, right?
Yeah, that is what's separating the safe key from the public side.
What are the available tokens?
The available tokens, that is going to take a minute to come up, but it is what the safe key is related to. The token is known as, it represents a value. So for example, let me move this up. The ones that you would use for the web forms, let's see. Here we go. No. Sorry, I think that this has, I've clicked around too many times, it might have frozen a bit. But we do have one of our past office hours, we did dive into the tokens a little bit more, but the web form is where you'll most likely use tokens, because if somebody answers their email. And I'm sorry, this list is extremely long.
So are they like system variables? I mean, like current date, that's.
Yeah,
You know,
and it would just be specific to whatever that submission says. So
so in this case, when we're trying to do this contact thing, those tokens really aren't very meaningful in this situation where you're trying to put president, treasurer, these different officers that you might want to contact. I mean, what token would you put there? It doesn't seem like relevant in our particular case.
For sure. When it comes to here in this options field, I think that you won't really be needing to use it. The only time that the tokens really do seem to matter are in the emails. And this is specifically the
response or something.
This down here.
Yeah.
So we have some tokens by default there already, but you can add, so submission values, that's going to represent every single question and every single answer that was provided. So on this contact us form, there's a question of your name, your email address, the subject of your message, and your message. If any of those things were not required to answer and somebody left it blank, with this token, we still are going to see the question, but we'll also see the blank answer field, which will reveal nothing. Oh my gosh, there we go. With this token, you can get even more specific. And depending on what your form components are called, I'm going to just scroll back up for a second and open one more tab of the form components. The form key is what you want to look at. So the name, if I wanted to specify that this person specifically, you could say this, or yeah, it will have their name, has reached out to you. That is one way of showing just the answer. So it won't say name Amaris has reached out to you. It will just say Amaris has reached out to you.
Okay, let's go back to the contact thing. We've gone on such a diversion here. I'd like to see how you're going to connect those keys to actual addresses, email addresses.
Okay, and like I said, let's leave that for the public. The form key can be any numeral, text or letter or underscore. The multiple is probably not a bad idea, but definitely up to you, because if you're allowing them to pick specifically who they are trying to reach, then I might suggest, leaving it as they just need to pick one. The list box would be another recommendation if you have a lot of recipients to choose from, because it's going to take it from bubble boxes to a drop down like this. By default, I believe we'll have select if we leave that blank. But I'll just show that off. And for the rest, I'm going to leave the display as is. And let's save that. Okay. So before I get to how to set that up, just wanted to show off what that looks like. Okay. So now we have that question in place and it's required. So that means we definitely can set up an email. So I'm going to go now over to emails. And in the empty spot, select component value, but this time we're going to use who would you like to reach, or whatever that new select options component is. And this time, because we selected a form component that is the type select options, we have more than one email address field. So like how we went over earlier, if you use custom, you can type in several email addresses, but that means every submission gets sent to each one of these specified email addresses. If we use the component, then I can have one per, one per person. So the president can have one email address, the treasurer can have another, and the general can have another. And this is where you can specify tokens down at the bottom. So I'm going to scroll down to the custom or the email template. You can add, like how we were talking about adding that line, but again, the submission values of the entire form are going to be listed in the body of the message. So they'll see the person's name and the subject or whatever questions you've asked of that person.
How do you, can you edit this easily?
Edit the email template?
No,
or the setting?
Say I have another person that I want to be contacted, like the treasurer or something.
Yeah, it is just like if you were going to edit just one individual email setting, you would go back in to edit that same one and make your changes there. So that's just one additional way of getting those emails set up. Yeah.
Amaris, I had a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is this similar to the function that we have on our domain service, where emails are forwarded to individual board members? Is this in lieu of that?
It is.
Okay,
kind
that
of,
function,
yeah.
I don't think that function was available at the beginning of Milo. Is that right? Because we had to subscribe to this. It used to be with League Easy Web, but then when we went to Milo, we had to subscribe to that email forwarding service through our domain service.
Yes.
It isn't exactly like the email forwarding through Lou because there isn't an address that you can reach out to. Like Lou offered info at Lou dot or whatever your league name was .org, but we don't have that service in Milo, so that is the reason for the web forms. But you do still have to use your personal email address in behind the scenes of the web form.
Oh, you can't.
Or it doesn't have to. I'm sorry, I don't mean specifically it needs to be a personal email, but whatever email you use here, there isn't any Milo equivalent that would be the alias that we are providing.
Okay.
So do you mean that the personal emails would show to the user?
I think you can put things like president at LWV Detroit or whatever. You can use the ones that you've put into GoDaddy, and it'll forward to whoever you've set up in GoDaddy. It doesn't have to be Jan Carwin at gmail.com. You can use those aliases or whatever you're calling those.
Yes, sorry to make that confusing. Definitely, you can use any email address you'd like here on the back end. Because those email addresses are alias, you have the freedom to use them just directly on your page, probably as you're doing now.
Okay, so let me just clarify. for my own information, this does not, you're saying that this does or does not substitute for the email forwarding function through our domain service?
It does not. It provides a way for the public to communicate with you if you didn't have the alias emails, but they would have to visit this webpage and then submit it here. The alias emails give you the address, so you could have something like lwvc@lwvc.org and give that out instead of this URL.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.